So guys, I know the title says that you can save 600 euros in just 30 minutes by meal planning, but the reality is that you can save a lot more than 600 euros a year by meal planning, because those 600 euros are from my latest review of my meal plan. So I was already meal planning before that, which means I was already saving money every year thanks to meal planning before that. So altogether, I'm probably saving around 1,000 euros, maybe a little bit more a year by just meal planning. So if you've never meal planned before, this is your sign to actually do it, because let's say you're saving for a house deposit, 1,000 euros, $1,000 a year can make such a huge difference. So this is your sign to start. So the first thing you're gonna wanna do is actually review your previous monthly grocery bills. And when I say to review your previous monthly grocery bills, I mean every little trip you've taken to the store, every, little money you've spent on food, you're gonna want to count that in to have a realistic overview of how much money you spend on food every month. So if you're struggling with those numbers, if you're, having a hard time knowing kind of what to count in, like where to start, etc., you can DM me on Instagram. I'm happy to help you for free. Like, I can totally help you. This is like, I've done it so much, it's like really easy. So don't hesitate to DM me on Instagram. I'll be happy to help. So once you've figured out how much money you spend on food every month, then you probably have an idea of how much money you want to save by meal planning. Let's say you want to save 50 euros a month and you're spending currently 200 euros a month on food, then you're going to want to take your grocery bills from 200 euros to 150 euros. So let's see how you can do that now. So one thing you need in order to meal plan is a meal planning template. So you can totally make your own, or you can download mine. That's the one I'll be using in this video to kind of demonstrate how I do my own meal planning. So the way my template is done, as you can see, is it has all the different meals on the top, and then on the left you have all the different days of the week, and then for each meal and each day you're going to put in the meal that you want to have that day, and then for each meal you're going to put in all the ingredients that you need to make that meal, and then all these ingredients together, they're going to make up your grocery list, which is the list you're going to stick to when you go to the store, and you're not going to buy anything else. So now we're going to want to fill in those meals. So the first step in meal planning is actually going through your leftovers. So going through your cabinets, your fridge, your freezer, and see what is left that you can use to make a few more meals. So for example, I usually have a few things of sardines left. I usually have a few cans of beans left. So you can easily make a couple more meals, maybe if you have some pasta left, and you're going to want to put those into the template, and you know that for those meals you're actually not going to have to spend any money because you already have those ingredients in your cabinets, fridge and freezer. And also you're going to want to remember that you absolutely can get creative. So even if sometimes two things together kind of sound weird, a lot of the times they actually taste good. So once I've done this, I actually sit down and plan the rest of my meals. And I do have a lot of rules when meal planning that I stick to and that help me save money. The first one is to always keep in mind what some cheap foods are. So for example, some of the cheap foods out there are canned beans, canned tuna, canned sardines, oats, chickpeas, lentils. Any one of these foods is usually pretty cheap. Those are really good base for meals and they won't cost you a lot of money. Another rule I have is that I keep my meals simple. So I don't want to plan meals that are too complicated for me to make and that I know down the road I'll be too lazy to make them and then the food is going to waste. I don't want that to happen. I don't want to waste food and I don't want to waste money. And then another thing is I keep my meals quite fast to make, so it really depends, but usually all my meals can be cooked in 15 minutes and they're healthy and they're filling, so I don't want to make things more complicated than they have to be, and I want them to be fast to make because I have lots of things going on in my life and I don't want to you know, compromise that time just to make food. And I know that if it takes me too long, I'll be lazy to actually make them, and again, that's gonna go to waste. Keeping your meals simple and fast to make is really good because it doesn't turn cooking into a burden. And so, you know, when cooking's a burden, usually people end up ordering out, and that's really expensive. That's going to weigh on your budget. So it's better to make simple things, healthy things, fast things at home that work for everybody, because then you save time, you save money, and it's a lot better for you. Another rule I have is that I always plan meals that I know I will have leftovers, or I can cook leftovers. So let's say if I plan to have pasta, I know that I will make pasta for the next day, so it saves me time, and also like it's easy to have an extra meal out of this. So always think of leftovers when you're meal planning. I also plan several meatless and fishless meals a week, just because meat and fish can get really expensive, and when you're trying to stay on a budget and save extra money, then, you know, cutting on meat and cutting on fish can really help you. But it doesn't mean that it's not as healthy, because there's lots of other foods that can compensate for what meat and fish brings to your body. So maybe do a little bit of research and see what could work for you to be able to replace meat and fish at least a few times a week. Another thing I do is I plan meals with foods that don't go bad really quickly, just because when they do go bad quickly, you know, you don't have the time to go through them, and it's just a waste of food and money again. So I try to use foods that I know can last for a while. Another thing that I do, or I should say I never do, is actually buy pre-made meals, because those are expensive. They're actually not very good for you most of the time, and they're just too expensive anyways, and you can usually replicate them at home with things that you have and buy separately. So there's just no point, at least in my opinion, in buying those. I also buy foods that can go with more than one other food. That way, you know, if I don't feel like a meal that I actually planned, I can kind of mix it up and it still works. So that's another good way to save money, because then, you know, you're actually eating things that you like and you can easily mix them up instead of being frustrated with what you planned just to save money. I also try to plan my meals with local food as much as possible. We live in Ireland, so it's kind of hard to, you know, go completely local, because there's only so many things that grow in Ireland. But I try as much as possible, just because usually when things are imported, they cost more money. So I try to stay away from those, but it's not always possible. But if it is for you, then you should totally do that. And as I said earlier, I plan snacks. You will see on my template that there's a column for snacks, because, you know, I'm always a little hungry during the morning, I'm always a little hungry in the afternoon, and I do want healthy snacks, but I need a snack. I can't just go on without a snack, and it's not realistic if you don't include it and you still have a snack, because you're either not gonna have it because you won't have ordered it, and you might end up actually going out to buy yourself a snack that's maybe not healthy and that's gonna be expensive. So it's just better to include it because you're gonna have it anyway. At this stage, you should have a complete meal plan for at least the week or the next couple weeks, or if you're feeling adventurous, for the next month. And the next step is to shop. So I do already have a couple of videos on how you can save money at the grocery stores, so I will put these in the description box below. But there are a couple of things I wanted to mention in this video. When I go to the store with my list of ingredients, I try to remain flexible, meaning that if there is something that's on sale at the store that day, and that's when it's on sale is cheaper than the ingredient that I had planned for myself, then I will switch and get the one ingredient on sale. So let's say I had planned to have sausages that day, and I get to the store and I see that the chicken is on sale, and the price on sale is actually cheaper than the price of my sausages that I initially had planned to have, then I will switch the sausages for the chicken. However, if I see that the chicken is on sale but the price is still higher than the price of the sausages, then I won't, because what I want is the cheapest of the two. I don't want just something that's on sale because if it's still more expensive than my sausages, then I'm just not interested. So by doing this, you can easily save, you know, a couple euros here, 3 or 4 euros there, especially when it's on meat. Like, it can add up so quickly. So it is good to remain flexible, because you can save a lot of money in addition to what, you know, you've already saved by meal planning. And the other thing I wanted to mention is that I do my grocery shopping online, and the reason for this is that first, it saves us a lot of time, but also it just makes it easier to know, you know, when you add an item into your cart, it will tell you exactly the amount that your total is at the moment. So it's just easier to track what everything is costing you and what your total is going to be. When you're at the store, you actually have to wait until you're at the till to know, you know, your total that you owe them. Whereas when you're shopping online, you can see that before you're at the till, and so you can switch items, you can, you know, go towards more generic brands. You can just do a few tweaks that are going to bring your final bill down. So it's just a little easier and more convenient to do it online. I know not everyone likes to do it online, but it has definitely saved us a lot of money since we've started doing this. So yeah, there's lots of other tips to save money at the grocery stores that I shared in my 2 videos. So I will link them below, as I said, so you can check those out. And that's pretty much it for how I meal plan and how I save that much money, you know, in a year just by meal planning. It's really easy, and once you get the hang of it, you know, it will only take you maybe 15 to 30 minutes to do it. And then I definitely suggest that you review it every, you know, now and then, just to make sure that you are on track and that you're, you know, doing what's right for your finances. So yeah, if you did like this video, then give it a thumbs up, and don't hesitate to subscribe if that's not already done. And I guess I'll see you next week for a new video. Bye!